The Life of Claudia. This video was made in collaboration with the Dragon Prince Wiki. For more information, check out the link in the description. Claudia is the daughter of Viren and Lissa, and the younger sister of Soren. She's a mage, although a practitioner of dark magic, under the tutelage of her father. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Claudia, at least up to the end of Season 3 of the Dragon Prince. Early life. Claudia was born in the human kingdoms, 2 years after her older brother Soren. Her parents split up when she was young, so she and Soren had to choose who to stay with. Although Claudia didn't want to make such a choice, her mother Lissa told her she should be with her brother. Lissa left them and returned to her family in Dalbar. Viren eventually taught Claudia the art of dark magic. Echoes of Thunder. During a training session between Soren and Callum, Claudia is engrossed with a book, Love Amongst the Dragons, almost walking into a tree before Callum warns her. After some playful banter, Soren notices Callum's enamored gaze at her, so he decides to help Callum impress her, and Claudia delightfully praises Callum for his sword-fighting skills. Later, Viren calls a meeting with his children. He tells them that assassins have arrived from Zadia. She listens as Viren orders Soren to track down the Moonshadow Elf camp before sundown, using a giant moon moth that will be drawn to their energy. Claudia and Viren deduce that the Moonshadow Elves will be unstoppable once the moon rises. Wanting to impress her father, she is determined to find a way to stop them. What is done? After some light flirting in the library using magic, Callum is amazed that she is able to perform magic like that, although she explains that it's just a simple wind breath rune. Afterward, Claudia points his attention to the stone that she had used to cast the spell, informing him that it's called a primal stone, an artifact which uses magical energy from one of the 6 primal sources. She explains that there's a real storm inside, captured and contained from the top of a mountain. Callum envies her for being able to learn such magic, though Claudia says that he gets to learn sword fighting in return and that she would gladly trade places with him. With that, Claudia has an epiphany. She goes to Viren and says that she's figured out a way to save King Harrow's life by switching his soul with another using the bite of a soulfang serpent. Moonrise. Despite Viren's insistence, Harrow refuses to use dark magic to avoid his death at the hands of the elves. Much to Claudia's confusion, both Viren and herself admire a painting of Harrow and Viren, and she comments that her father looks so happy in the picture. Viren reflects that Harrow insisted that he be by his side for the painting, as Harrow knew that Viren would stand by him through anything. When she asks her father what he intends to do, he tells her that she would stop him from doing it if she knew. Left alone, Claudia finds the scroll that was given to Callum by Harrow, though the former had dropped it when Rayla confronted him earlier. Suspiciously observing the painting that Callum, Ezra, and Rayla had opened earlier to access the secret tunnel, she confronts them when she finds them with the Dragon Prince's egg in Viren's secret chamber, believing that Rayla had captured the princes. Despite Rayla's claims that Viren stole the egg, Claudia is adamant that her father took the egg to protect humankind so that the elves and dragons could not use it as a weapon. However, Rayla insists that the egg needs to be returned to his mother, the Dragon Queen. Ezran, who now trusts Rayla, then tells her to follow him as he leads her through another exit into the tunnel. After struggling with Claudia, Callum takes the primal stone with him, apologizing to Claudia. She lights a candle, casting a dark magic spell, summoning smoky afterimages of Zadian wolves from the candle to chase and hunt down the others. Later, she stops her brother from killing Runan when they capture him. She states that there are more practical uses for the elf, so she orders the troops to tie him up and imprison him in the dungeons. Bloodthirsty. The siblings listen on as Viren announces Harrow's death to the citizens of Katalis. When Opeli and the rest of the Katalis High Council refuse to light the funeral pyre, Viren orders his daughter to do so instead, which she dutifully obeys. Through the Ice. Claudia casts a dark magic spell in an attempt to uncover the secret of the mysterious mirror that Viren took from the lair of the Dragon King, though the spell reveals nothing. Viren tells her that he has tried 8 different spells to do the same, but nothing worked. Though Claudia dismisses it as just an ordinary mirror, Viren is convinced that it's an important object. He entrusts his daughter with a mission, to recover the Dragon Prince's egg at any cost, even if it means losing Soren or the princes. Later, she finds a dejected Soren, and the 2 siblings wonder if their father had asked the other to do anything suspicious, which they each deny. As they prepare for their mission, Claudia assures Soren that he won't die and that she will protect him. The Dagger and the Wolf. Claudia and Soren arrive at the Banther Lodge with a pack of tracker hounds, but their trail ends at the river. They eventually see Rayla's braid that had been shot and pinned to a tree by an arrow. Claudia uses a jar to obtain some wisps, and informs Soren that they must climb up to the summit of Mount Kalik, the tallest mountain in Katalis, to perform her tracking spell. Wonderstorm. As Claudia and Soren approach the top of the mountain, Soren asks if she can perform the spell someplace warmer, but she ignores the question, and casts the tracking spell that successfully shows Callum and Ezran's current whereabouts. Half Moon lies. Claudia uses an ocarina to cast a sleeping spell on Rayla, and Soren raises his sword for the final blow, but he hesitates. They argue about killing an unarmed opponent, but then Rayla suddenly awakens. Claudia asks how she resisted the sleep spell, and Rayla shows her a rose, which she used to press a thorn into her finger to keep her awake. Claudia uses magic to help Soren in the fight, but then Callum appears, stopping the fight and saying that they are not enemies. He suggests that they all get some rest to cool off. As they walk, Claudia joins Callum, telling him that he was very confident. That morning, Claudia dismisses Soren's theory that the princes have been coerced. He says that they need to do something and that their father gave them a mission, and she's confused when Soren mentions a possible terrible accident. Claudia cooks breakfast for the group, but they lose their appetite when she hints that she cooked it using dark magic. She tells Callum and Ezran that since they weren't kidnapped, they should come home with the dragon egg. But when Callum tells her that there is no egg, she panics. Ezran presents her with Zim. Seeing him, she goes doe-eyed, gushing about how cute he is. Rayla steps between them, asking what happened to her comment about Zim being a powerful weapon. She agrees that it's still true, that Zim could one day bring death and destruction down on all of them. She tries to pet Zim, but Rayla stops her, saying that they are heading to Zadia to return him to his mother. Callum agrees that the mission is too important to return home just yet. When Soren lies about King Harrow missing them, Claudia glares at him angrily, as both she and Rayla already know that King Harrow is dead. Alone later, Claudia is unsure about lying to the boys about their father's fate. She begs Soren to give her one more day to convince Callum to leave with them. She pays a visit to Callum and goes on a walk with him. Callum gives her a tour, and he introduces her to their host, Lujane, a moon mage and illusionist. And she thinks at first that Lujane may be an illusion herself. Callum tells her that it's too bad that humans can't do magic without primal stones. She scoffs, telling him that they can, and berates Callum for being judgmental about dark magic. She tells him that the great thing about dark magic is that you can take creatures that are born with magic inside them and squeeze it out of them, which disgusts Callum. She tells him that the way she thinks about it is that humans were born with nothing, but still found a way to do amazing things. They continue their walk together and share a magical moment in their beautiful locale. Callum stares at her dreamily, even when Claudia makes a goofy face at him. They both laugh and say they should come back after the moon rises. She agrees and calls it a date. In her and Soren's room, Claudia styles her hair. Soren wants to make sure that she's still on mission and not just having fun. When she meets with Callum, he tries to hold her hand, but then thinks better of it. But noticing that he tried by seeing his shadow, she grabs both his hands, telling him to take her to see the moon nexus. They flirt through the night, hold hands, and start to kiss, but Claudia draws away, saying that she needs to tell him something, ultimately telling Callum about his father's fate. Smoke and mirrors. Back in their room, Soren is concerned when he sees her crying. He tells her that she's his sister, and he's always there for her to punch someone or whatever she needs. But he needs to know that what's going on with her won't interfere with what they came to do. When they overhear Callum talking with Rayla about leaving, Soren tells him that Harrow is going to be disappointed. Claudia slaps him since Callum would know now that that's a lie. After apologizing, she tells Callum that she needs to give him something in private. She gives him a letter that King Harrow left for him. After speaking for a bit, Claudia says that her and Soren should join their journey. The next morning, they all head out, but Claudia and Soren hang back at a distance. Soren asks Claudia if she's ready to do things the Soren way, and she agrees that there's no other way. While Soren confronts Rayla, Claudia casts a spell of dark magic to transform the bracelets on her arm into snakes. They wrap around Callum and Ezran, then transform into chains. She tells Callum that she has to do what's right and take them back home. She gets no response from him, and she soon realizes that neither he or Ezran are real, but an illusion by Lujane. Rayla leaps onto Fifi to join the others. Claudia tries to use dark magic to stop them, but Corvus arrives, breaking the spell. Fire and fury. Soren and Claudia arrive at a village, with Corvus as a prisoner. They are shocked when they see a dragon circling the sky above. Soren goes on the offensive, eager to shoot down a dragon, but all his attempts fail. Claudia enchants a ballista bolt so that it never misses its target, no matter what. The bolt seems to miss the dragon at first, but true to Claudia's word, it swings back around and pierces it, sending it crashing to the ground. The two lead a force from the village to the dragon, where Claudia tells Soren that she always thought it would be him that took down a dragon, and not her. Doing research, Claudia sees all the things that she can do with dragon parts with dark magic. When Rayla attempts to free the dragon, Soren attacks her. Claudia tells him to try and not kill her, as she can lead them to the princes, but Callum is already there. She's shocked when Callum performs dark magic to free the dragon. It turns the dragon's chains into snakes, which slither away and attack the village soldiers. But Callum collapses from the spell. Soren is attacked by the dragon and falls to the ground. Hard. Claudia has to choose between capturing Zim or helping Soren, and she chooses to help Soren, but he tells her that he can't move. The Book of Destiny. Soren tells Claudia that he can't feel anything. She tries several spells that she knows, but nothing is healing him. Panicked, she demands the soldiers help her get Soren back to a doctor. At the hospital, the doctor's diagnosis isn't good, telling Claudia that he's not going to get better, and he'll never walk again. She goes to comfort Soren and says that everyone is calling him a hero, but he asks if saving everyone from a problem he caused is what heroes do. Distraught, Soren tells her that Viren gave him a secret mission, to kill the princes. She scoffs, saying that it can't be right, and he must have misunderstood. Distraught over Soren's condition, she trashes the hospital room, trying to find some way to help her brother, only to be escorted away. Trying to calm herself, she hears a noise coming from a tunnel. 2 glowing yellow eyes appear. She pulls back, scared, but then sees Ezran sitting on top of the creature. Breathe. Claudia tells Ezran that she hopes he knows that she never meant to hurt him, apologizing for how scary she acted. Ezran accepts her apology and explains that he can talk to animals. Sitting on top of one of the towers, Ezran says that he already knows about his dad. Comforting him, she tells him how her mother left when she was little. Ezran agrees that when you grow up, there are sometimes changes you don't expect, and that you have to face things you're not ready for, something Callum told him once. She tells him that he's lucky to have a brother like Callum, thinking of her own brother. Mentioning his ability to talk to animals, she tells him that she needs his help to find something in the forest, so she can help Soren. He helps her locate the milk fruit, then decides to return to Callum. She tells him that she cares about them a lot, but once Ezran leaves, she kneels down before one of the deer nearby, milk fruit in hand. She tells the deer that she's sorry, but that it's agile, young, and alive, and she needs that. She re-enters the hospital, bursting into Soren's room, eyes purple and crackling with dark energy. He asks her what she's doing, and she sends the energy into his body. Claudia collapses from the dark magic, and Soren realizes that he can now move his toes. Excited that he can move again, he soon notices his sister in pain. He asks if she's going to be okay, and she raises her head, eyes black, saying that he's going to be better now, and that's all that matters, part of her hair having turned white. The crown. Ezran has taken the throne, and Claudia and Soren are brought before him, Viren having been imprisoned for treason, with Apelli accusing them of being sent to kill the princes. Claudia says that Viren wanted them to rescue the princes, not kill them. Ezran asks that Soren and Claudia be allowed to rest and be fed while he makes his decision on whether to imprison them or not. Alone again, Soren says that Viren indeed wanted him to kill the princes, and that means that they're guilty, or at least he is. She tells him that there's no way Viren would have told him to do that. Ezran has Claudia and Soren brought back before him, and he declares that he doesn't want to be the kind of king who punishes people for the crimes of their parents. He orders Claudia and Soren to be set free. Ghost. Claudia and Soren visit Viren in the dungeon, and he asks her if she got the egg. She winces, stammering that it's not an egg anymore since it hatched. He rages that the dragon will become the most powerful creature in the world, and that she let it fall back into Zadia's hands. She gestures to Soren, saying that he could have died, and Viren shouts that it doesn't matter. Claudia is appalled, but Viren says that he doesn't mean to be cruel, but they need to be ready to sacrifice. Ice in her voice, she asks if that's why he told Soren to kill the princes, but he brushes it off. He asks Claudia if she really thought he would ask Soren to do such a thing, that she knows her brother is easily confused. Soren tries to protest, but Viren spins his story. Having to choose who to believe, Claudia takes Viren's side. Heroes and Masterminds. Claudia and Soren stand side by side in the throne room as Viren enters and crowns himself king of Katalis, Ezran having traded places with him in the dungeon. She later meets Viren and sees the Aravos caterpillar on his ear, and reaches to pet it, asking who his newfound friend is. Viren shies away, telling her not to touch it. He asks her if she understands why Prince Ezran had to be removed, and she agrees that he couldn't have done the things that needed to be done. She agrees that Viren is doing it to help the kingdom, to help everyone. She gives him a big hug and tells him that she's there for him. As she leaves, she's watched by the spectral form of Aravos, who tells Viren that she will be a valuable asset. Hearts of Cinder. Following a visit to the elf stronghold of Luxaria, Viren returns to his forces with stolen sun elf magic. She follows him as he addresses his forces, telling them that he's been granted a great gift, the power to protect themselves from the fire that will be rained down upon them by the elves and the dragons. She lowers her head as Soren refuses Viren's demand to grant him the power. She chases after Soren, asking him what's going on and where he's going. He tells her that he can't stay there anymore, asking if she's even seen what's going on. She tells him that Viren is just doing what needs to be done, which has Soren respond that she's changing too. He continues that it's not too late, that she can leave Viren and come with him. She begs him not to do this to her, not to make her choose again. He leaves, which spurns Claudia into a protestful hysteria. She returns to the army and gasps as she sees the soldiers, now transformed by the monstrous power granted to them by Viren. The final battle. As Viren's forces make their final approach to the Stormspire, Viren tells Claudia that he's proud of her for standing beside him despite everything, which she responds of course she would, that he's her dad, and that they're all that's left of their family, and she won't let anything break them apart. As the two armies face off against each other, Claudia uses the elf staff to cast dark magic into the Zadian forces. Later, as dragons begin raining down fire, she casts another spell to erect a web of dark energy over her, Viren, and the High Council members Salir, which shields them from the dragonfire. Viren tells her that it's time for the next phase of their plan. The tide of the battle turns in the wake of the arrival of additional forces from Durin. As Ezran surveys the battlefield, he sees Claudia walking away into the distance. As he goes to her, he stumbles over Viren, who moves to stab Ezran when Soren intervenes. Soren orders Viren to lay down his staff, but Viren moves to impale Ezran, so Soren stabs him through the heart. He collapses at Claudia's feet, and she stares at Soren in utter shock. She asks how could he do such a thing, and he tells her that he had no choice. Suddenly, Viren's body disappears in a flash of dark magic, revealing he was only an illusion, a distraction so he could reach the Stormspire. Once Viren is defeated, sent toppling over the edge of the Stormspire, he finally jolts awake inside of a dark cave, Claudia by his side. Her eyes are black, and now nearly half of her hair has turned white. Viren then asks her if he somehow survived the fall, but she admits that originally he hadn't, but that he's okay now, as she had resurrected him. When Viren searches for Erebos and inquires if Claudia had seen him, she informs him that he had spun himself into a cocoon 2 days ago, and had begun to change. And that's everything up to the end of Season 3. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.